Today we're going to talk about 5 of the things I bet you probably didn't know about the M5, the E60 M5. So let's take a look. The first number one thing we're going to look at, of course, is the dipstick. First thing is this car has no dipstick. Let's open this up. So start the car. This is actually how you check your oil. You start the car. And you'll notice the oil level right there. In this case it says I'm at 1.1 liters, which is okay. What you got to be careful of is not overfilling it too much. I know this is marginally over. I know it's not grossly overfilled. If you grossly overfill the oil in a high performance motor like this, that's probably one of your quick ways to wreck an engine. If you want to get rid of an engine in a hurry, fill it up with oil right to the top. But anyway, in this case, that's the only way you can check the oil. So I'm just going to turn the car off. So I'll show you real quickly here where most cars would actually have a dipstick. See if I can open this shit up. Look around. You got your oil filler, but you don't have a dipstick spot. There's no place to actually check oil on this car. The only way to do it is electronically, which really sucks because when you're filling it up for after an oil change, it's a little bit more finicky in trying to make sure that you got the level right. You definitely don't want to overfill it. And if you do overfill it, how do you know you've overfilled it beyond that 1.1 that I showed you on the dash? So it's kind of awkward, but that's one thing. Yeah, it keeps your hands free of oil, but the downside, of course, is it's a little more finicky, especially if you get to the top end of that. In which case, you shouldn't be filling it to the top. It should be somewhere halfway. Anyway, enough about that. So the second thing I bet you probably didn't know, unless you happen to be an owner or you're one of those long-term forum subscribers, is that unfortunately, as you know, it is a high-performance car. The E60 M5 is truly a high-performance car. But because of that, there's a lot of parts that can be finicky. Now, here, let me just open this up, and I think we're going to be limited what we can actually see here. A 90-degree V10, which actually increases the balance of the engine. So it feels very low-key when you're idling around town. It feels very refined. The reality is this is truly a high-performance monster of an engine. And things that have been known to go on this car, rod bearings, that's a problem. 50 to 80,000 miles in that range, you can expect problems with your rod bearings. Vanos system, part of the intake, that's a problem. The SMG transmission have been known to fail. There's also been failures known on the rear differentials, either just outright failing or leaks or other related issues there. So the car is not short on its faults. Of course, it's a high performance car, but it definitely does have its share of issues that you can contend with. That being said, I wouldn't recommend you putting tons of miles. This is truly, it's no different than driving a Ferrari, taking out on a nice Sunday afternoon for a drive. Same kind of thing. This is really a high performance car, borderline race car. Treat it that way, but you can expect those things. So the third thing that I bet you probably didn't know is this engine actually uses what they call, or BMW calls, a quasi-sump arrangement. Most high performance cars, and you'll find in Ferraris and Lamborghinis, even Corvette today uses a dry sump. A dry sump really is a system that has a separate oil tank and a better scavenge, a dedicated scavenge and supply oil system to provide oil in big corners when you're pulling G's and the oil's pulling out of the pan, to ensure that you always have good oiling to the bottom of the motor and distribution through the engine. That's what a dry sump system really does for you. This system here, of course, is a QuasiDry Sump, and it's really a cheater system. It's a pan at the bottom, feeds into another pan. Anyway, it's a bit convoluted. It's not truly a dry sump, and I think they do that because of the room in the engine compartment here. So it actually does not use a true dry sump, which many other high-performance engines do use. So the fourth thing you may or may not have noticed or known about the BMW E60 M5 is it's likely going to be the last large engine, normally aspirated motor that BMW will put in their performance cars. Yeah, today they're using the V8 with twin turbos, and it goes like stink, but it does really lack the true high-performance race engine technology that they had in this, because it's normally aspirated. It's a great technology. It does really rely on the proper amount of tuning. Turbos really do pick up a lot of slack for sloppy engineering. You put turbos to anything, and it gives you a big lumpy torque curve. Normally aspirated engines, if you get high output, usually becomes a result of really top shelf engineering and top quality parts. So an engine like this, V10 motor, is the largest BMW has ever used. As well, it's probably the largest they will ever use. This engine was actually derived from the Formula One cars back in the early 2000s, and so they basically took that technology and transferred it here and created a car that is very, very much based on the Formula One cars. Let's go inside the car here. These E60 M5s, if you look at the speedometer, it says 330 kilometers per hour. Oh, that's probably around 200 and some miles per hour. That's around 205, maybe somewhere in that range. These cars, if you chip them, it removes the governor, which is a factory governed at 155 miles per hour, which is about 240 kilometers, 245. It is factory governed to stop there. If you get the chip installed, like Dynon or one of those other chips, you can actually get, it removes the governor. This car has been known, not mine, but a similar E60 M5 has been known to run over 330 kilometers an hour. In other words, a car similar to this was clocked at 205 miles per hour just by removing the governor. Why? Because this has 500 and almost 10 horsepower, V10, and the gearing is just right. It's all suited very nicely for this car, and this thing does rock. It's truly a supercar. Now, that's all I have today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Really, at the end of the day, it's not perfect. No car is. There's always compromises, and because this is a supercar, as far as that goes, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I would consider the fact that there are compromises you'd have to consider. But at the end of the day, there's 5 key things that you should know. So please like, that's very important, comment, and more importantly, subscribe to my channel. Like I said, many more of these videos to come. Thank you. Bye-bye.